Hey Choppers, welcome to our preview of Azrah, War of Heralds. In this card game, you take the role of a herald and you have to fight other heralds with your guardians because some of you have been corrupted by the celestial nether. It's for 2 players, ages 13 up, and plays about 30 to 50 minutes. So we're going to get it to the table, take a look at it. Alright, we've got everything set up here for a game of Azrah. Now, whenever you start, you're not going to set it up completely like this. We're doing this to save some time on the video. But what each player will do is they will look through their Guardian cards, which you have a multitude to choose from. And they will choose 3 of them and place them face down on the table once each player has chosen their 3. Then they will flip them face up. And then they will put 2 extra guardians face down in the back row. Now, the ones in the back row can't be targeted, but they will possibly come into play, most likely during the game. They will most likely come into play because as guardians die, you'll switch them back and forth. Alright, both of the heralds playing this side and that side have flipped their 3 guardians face up, so we'll go over those in a minute. Let's go ahead and finish up with the rest of the board. The blue die is the life of the heralds. It is set to 3 at the beginning of the game. The player that reduces the other herald to 0 life points wins the game. So we each have ours set at 3. These extra red die here will be used to place on the cards to keep track of the life of the guardians. Of course, we've got our 2 guardians face down in the back row. It doesn't matter where they are when you place them, but it does matter where these are when you place them and turn them face up because they have range arrows on the top, which we'll get to when we look at the cards. We have a stack of cards over here. Got is our mana and celestial gems. This is how we will be triggering our abilities with mana cards or celestial gems. And you can only have 3 celestial gems in play at a time because different abilities cost celestial gems, different abilities cost mana gems, and we will get to them in a second. So we each have a stack of those gems for ourselves on our side. But we have these 3 stacks over here with different cards which are shared between both opponents. Now, before we take a look at the 3 shared stacks that we have over here, these cards that will be shared between both opponents, let's go ahead and take a look at the Guardians. We can see here the card is set up where we have the title. This is an assassin. And each one of these guardians is different. So you don't have any duplicates because you're going to have one. Each card on the battlefield will be different. Of course, you and your opponent could possibly choose. Like you see, both teams here have these same cards, same guardians on their side. But this setup where it has the name here, it has those range arrows that we were talking about, which you want to be conscious of whenever you're putting your guys face down, because when you flip them face up, that's where they're going to stay on the board unless something perhaps moves them or you move them during your turn. You want to make sure that they are like that and they're going to be able to hit the opponent's guardians on the other side. We have our total life. You can see the assassin here has 4 life. Whenever your guardian is defeated and moved and not healed, you will be taking hits to the herald's life. So basically, if you lose 3 of your guys completely and they're dead, you will be out of the game. Unless you can find a way to heal some of your guardians that are on the board. Now, each card comes with an emergence ability, and this symbol right here is a celestial gem symbol. So when you emerge, which is whenever your card is turned face up, not counting at the beginning of the game whenever you're setting up, but whenever your card is turned face up, because you'll be able to move them between the back and the front row. When they go to the back row, they'll flip down. When they come from the back row to the front row, they will flip up. You will do your emergence ability if you can pay the gems. This square symbol right here, this is for celestial gems. And you can see the assassin here, when you do that, and you pay the 3 celestial gems, you can defeat target enemy. Ta-da! Now this circle here, that looks like a little archer's little target right there, that is the mana gem. So that's the abilities you pay for mana gems. You can see the dagger throw costs 1 mana gem there. So it says deal 1 damage to target enemy. Now if you pay a celestial gem, you can deal 1 damage to each other enemy in your opponent's front row. And of course, it's got another ability there for 3 gems. You can tell that these are guardians because they have this little symbol right here. Each different type of card has a different symbol in that bottom left corner. Now, these 3 independent stacks over here that are shared between both players are 3 different types. You've got your transformation cards, you've got your curse cards, and you've got your item cards. You want to keep them close to the board because
each player will be able to access them. Now, the transformation cards, they some of your guardians will be able to transform into something else, which will increase their life. You'll put this card over that guardian. Like this one, we can see a transformation for the dragoon. We actually have the dragoon right here. And wait for it to focus right there. And it says, emergence, when it's flipped over, you pay a celestial gem to activate the metamorphosis at no additional cost. And you see metamorphosis usually costs 3 regular mana gems, but you can actually, at emergence, when you flip this over, you can pay that and activate it without paying that cost, or you can pay that cost during your turn. And it says, this ally transforms into any dragoon transformation. I just happen to have this one that I chose to show everybody, Azrah Flame Scale. So you'd put this card over the dragoon. Its health would now be 7 instead of the 5 it was before, so it goes up in health, and it has other abilities, such as the emergence. Whenever it comes out, you deal 1 damage to each injured enemy, obviously on the other side, and of course the range still applies right there, so this would be the range of the person in front of them. And also I can pay 2 regular mana to incinerate and deal 1 damage to each enemy in your opponent's front row. So even though the range is only for the enemy right in front on the board, if I did that ability, I could hit every single enemy on their front row. Now, other than transformation cards, let me put this dragoon right back there, there are curse and item cards, and different abilities, different guardians will trigger these cards to come into play. You see, they got the different things. The curse right there is used by the witch doctor, whereas the item right there is being made by the alchemist. And they have different things that they can do, when they come in. And the cards tell you when to apply them and what to do with them. Like while this curse is attached to an ally, it cannot escape, and different stuff. So you'll put these on the different things during the game. But let's go ahead and get to a little bit of the gameplay and how the game actually goes along. Now, there are 3 different phases in Azrah. There's the recovery phase, the action phase, and the end phase. A lot of the stuff that happens during the game will happen during the action phase, and the recovery phase goes pretty quickly, and you also skip parts of it during the first turn of the game. So during the recovery phase, the active player, the one that's currently going first, or at the beginning of the game, or that's active during the game, will heal 1 damage from each ally in their back row. Back row is where your allies automatically heal. So you're going to want to switch or move them, or escape, as the term in the game, which we'll get to get your guys that are damaged up front to the back row so that they can heal, unless you have a guardian that has a healer ability. Then the active player attaches 2 of the mana cards that they have over there to allies in their front row in any combination, because that's how you use your abilities, is with the mana gems, but they stay with the guardians they're attached to. So at the beginning of the game, I can attach like 1 to dragoon, and then I can attach 1 over here to alchemist, and if they have any abilities that cost 1 mana, I'd be able to use them during the turn. You will also gain 1 celestial gem, and you'll put those to the right of your guardians when you gain them. Now, of course, you're going to skip this during the first turn of the game. You'll not be able to gain a celestial gem. So it kind of slows it down and lets everybody build everything up before you start using these uber abilities. But when you do, they will go to the right, and you can only have 3 celestial gems total during the game. Sorry, not during the game, but accumulated at one time. You can only have a total of 3 over here at one time. Now, during your action phase, you can do as many of these things as you can that you want, as long as you can pay for them. You can activate any of the abilities in the front row, like I said, as often as you can pay the activation cost. If you have enough mana gems on your guys, or celestial gems, you can keep doing their abilities, which usually do damage to the opponent, which is what you want to do. You can also, only once per turn though, you can move to adjacent allies. So I could like swap these if I thought I was going to be able to do more damage. So you can only do that once per turn. And then also, once per turn, you can escape with an injured ally that is in your front row. And we'll get over escaping here in a second. But whenever you escape, your ally, your guardian, has to have damage on it. So like the summoner right here, who, starts out with 4, he would have to have like more or less than 4 damage on. Let's say I only have 2 on them. And then he also could not have used his ability during this turn. So that way you say, oh, I'm going to escape with this guy. To show that you're going to escape with him, you turn him sideways, but you got to make sure he's injured and that he has not used his ability. He can move, though, during that turn. Now, it should also be noted that if one of your guardians that's in the front row has taken enough damage that it is defeated, it will immediately escape. So, let's say it took that last 2 damage during its turn. It will turn sideways, and it will escape at the end of your turn, which is what happens in the end phase. Now, during the end phase is where you will swap guardians or allies from the front row to the back row. Any that are escaping or that have been defeated and are escaping will be switched. So we'd go like this, and this card would go face down. The damage, he has nothing on there, would still be on him, technically, even though he's at 0 health, so we'll have to keep track of that. But then the card that was in the back will flip over and come in the front, and we could trigger the emergence ability. We can see here on the Berserker, we could pay 2 Celestial Gems, and I can deal 2 damage to target enemy. Of course, that enemy would have to be either the one in front or the one right there in the middle, because those are where my range arrows are. So I can deal 2 damage to target enemy. Let's say I'm just going to put it on that guy right there. We'd adjust the die. Ta-da! If we had multiple guys that were coming from the back row to the front row, we would get to decide when each ability triggers ourselves. Then, after that's handled, the current round ends and play passes to the opponent. Players continue to take turns in this fashion until one player has reduced the other player to 0 health, and then that player wins Azrah War of Heralds. Azrah War of Heralds is on Kickstarter now, so make sure you take a look. I'm Logan for Logan Chops Previews. Go ahead and leave us a like on this video, and go ahead and comment down in the section below to let us know what you like about Azrah or any of our other videos for Kickstarters. And as always, happy gaming.